Today we are going to talk about how to restate a question. This is the R sentence in RACES. So if you remember our paragraph writing with the RACES acronym, this is how we are going to write our first sentence. So the letter R, that is all we are focusing on in this PowerPoint. So how do we restate a question? The first step is to identify the type of question. Is it a simple answer question? This will include the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why, or also the question how much, how many, how long. Or is it a yes-no type of question? This can include words like do, are, is, was, will. Do you have an apple? Are you going to eat the apple? Is that your apple? Was that your apple? Will you give me an apple? Those are all questions that you can answer with a yes or a no. So first, we are going to start with simple answer questions. Again, these are key words that you will see in simple answer questions. Our first example is, how long does the movie last? In order to restate this question, you need to identify what the question is asking you and what the subject of the question is. The question is asking about length, so we know that we need to find the length of something. What is the subject of the question? The subject of the question is movie, so we know that we need to find the length of the movie. In order to restate that, you want to move the subject to the beginning and then include the answer, which is the length. The answer, or the restated question, would be, the movie lasts 2 hours. Here we see that the subject from our question appears again in the answer, and that we have included the information that the question was looking for, which is 2 hours. This is a restated question. Another example is, why did the grass stop growing? Here we can see that we are looking for a reason. So our question, why, wants a reason for the problem. The problem is the subject. So what's the subject? The grass stopped growing. That's our problem. That is our subject. In order to restate the question, we are going to put the subject first. So it will read, the grass stopped growing. That's our subject. And then behind that, we are going to put our reason, because the sprinkler broke. For our final example, it's going to get a little bit more complicated, but that's okay because you're smart and you can do this. What effect do people have on the environment? Here, what we are looking for is the effect. Our subject is a bit more complex. Our subject is people. Specifically, we're looking for the effect people have on the environment. For this, we're going to have to break our subject up because the part on the environment comes later. So we're going to put the effect in the middle. So people have a negative or positive effect on the environment, right? Here you're going to choose a side, you're going to give me your answer. But here you're going to put the effect in the middle. So people have a negative effect on the environment. I want to note all the words that I have highlighted in both blue and green from the question appear in our answer. So the really nice thing about restating a question is that you don't have to come up with your own words. You are using the words from the question in your answer. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier because you're not making any new words. You're just using the words that have been provided to you and rearranging them to make them into a response. That's the beautiful part about restating a question. So those are simple answer questions. Now I'm going to explain yes-no questions. Again, these are some of the words that you can see in a yes-no question. Example 1. Is there a basketball game this weekend? In order to answer this question, you need to, again, identify the verb, but also the subject. The verb here is the word is. The subject is a basketball game. Now, This one is a little bit different than a simple answer question. Here, you are going to move the verb into the middle of the sentence. So, is there a basketball game this question? You can answer this positively by saying, there is a basketball game this weekend. See how we move the verb is into the middle of the sentence? Or you can say, there is not a basketball game this weekend. Again, the verb is or is not, to make it negative, is being moved into the middle of the sentence. So again, you can answer it positively by saying is, or you can answer it negatively by including the word not. In another example, it says, are the needs of people ever more important than the needs of the earth? Hopefully this question looks familiar because we answered it last week, but I just wanted to go over how to make this positive and how to make this negative. Again, you need to move the word are into the middle of the sentence. So you can say in the positive form, the needs of people are more important than the needs of the earth, putting the word are in between our two subjects, or answering it negatively, you would say the needs of people are not more important than the needs of the earth. So these are two examples of how to answer a question positively or negatively. So to recap, in order to restate a question, you need to identify the type of question, which means look at the wording to determine if it is a simple answer question or a yes/no question. Step 2, if it is a simple answer question, remember to give a specific answer that answers the entire question. So if you're being asked about length or location or time, make sure that you are giving a specific answer and make sure that you are answering the whole question. If you are doing step 3, a yes/no question, remember to take a side. If it's asking you, are grapes delicious? You need to say that grapes are delicious or that grapes are not delicious. You cannot stay in the middle ground and say sometimes, okay? Whenever we're doing argumentative writing in English class, you need to take a side, okay? And remember, for all of these questions, be sure to use the words from the question in your answer. Again, this is going to be your own thinking, but you get to borrow all the words from the question. That's why it's called restating a question, because you're using those words in your answer. So now you're going to go on to the next portion of this Google form, and you are going to be able to practice using and restating the question. Okay?